Lights, camera, action, and we're going to begin when we're ready to talk a little bit about the sentiment of your message, the tone, the intention. I'm going to touch on the shape of stories and also talk a little bit of that attitude that you can have. So let's start by talking about this sentiment within your message. I think that I always used to believe that this was a Confucius saying, but I since learned that if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, really was said by Lewis Carroll from Alice in Wonderland and Down the Rabbit Hole and all that. And I just discovered this today, in fact, on Google. And it's something that I really like about a positioning to say there's a through line that you should have. And even at that outset, when you start to communicate, when you start with your message, you already know where you want it to end. And this takes it through to a lot of structural discussion that you can have in the movies. We have touched on Sid Field's paradigm, which is, talks about the setup, the confrontation, and the resolve. And something that I love about Sid Field's work is he once said, it's very important to have this through line because the resolution of your storyline has to be known to you, because if you don't know the ending of your story, then who will? This meticulous direction that you have to take it to an ultimate ending is the very heart of structure. And I think that if you remind yourself again about this moments before you're about to begin, you're going to have that through line, that little thread that's almost like this little golden thread, or in this instance, the red thread, that goes through the complexity, through the knot, and it unravels, and on the other side, it gives you this perfect, wonderful moment of an aha moment, and it has such a satisfying ending. I want to introduce you, if you haven't heard of him, to just a wonderful gentleman. This is Kurt Vonnegut, who did the most incredible work around the shapes of stories. And if you have time, do yourself a favor and check out the clip on YouTube. I can giggle at it every single time he explains how this concept works. But essentially, you're sitting with a timeline, and over time, anything that a story communicates works between a positive and an upbeat and a negative or a scary or downbeat kind of shape. And so stories have these shapes, and he has a fabulous way of explaining the Cinderella story that I just love. And A Man in a Hole, for example, is somebody who starts on a good day, falls in a hole, tries to get out through, and at the end you always want to have a positive ending again and build it. If you want to check it out online, you'll find a lot of amazing information. But I thought to put this in context for us in an actual talk, and I'm not sure that you may have seen last week's talk, but this is the sentiment on a timeline of something from my talk in 6 acts last week. Now, if you're going to go and look at it, I first of all made a general timeline of the kind of speed or the kind of pace and sentiment during the piece. We started kind of nice and high and bubbly. We had a moment where we described the kind of battle that it is to put together material. There was a moment of magic. I did a magic act towards the end of the 3rd act. And then we really delved deep with problems and how to solve those before it came out on the line on the other side, and had this aha moment with lots of solutions and ideas. Hopefully that would ring true for you. But if you also go and look at the sentiment on the timeline of the kind of stuff that I was communicating, you're going to see that I was including facts. There were facts that were generally spread out across the 6 acts. There was a lot of visual material last week's show. This week is a little bit more dry. We had quotes almost in every act. There was a quote of some kind that gave you some information. And then always entertainment as well. Entertainment and novelty and stuff. That's probably the magic act that's sitting over there. But the point is, if you have this intention to have a rhythm of ideas that you're going to communicate, and you spread what it is that's making the interest happen, you're suddenly going to find that all of these very interesting things are happening all over the talk, and it makes the mood move higher, the pace go lower, sometimes move a little closer because it's a little bit more sincere, and other times it's going to explode with something fun and something exciting that you're going to share with your audience. So that gives us a little bit about sentiment on the timeline and so on. And right now, I'm going to take a short moment for a breath, and we get into the next section.